you were mentioning something super important that I'm always talking about in our content as well, is that people don't understand that the whole learning experience in school, how it has been, and how how this all has programmed ourselves to have a certain belief system, right? So you're a linguist
True.
as well, and you're highly educated in that field. How do you look at this at the moment? Like now, if you have for yourself a successful language learning strategy, and we will dive into this a little later of what it is and stuff like that. But how do you look back at what language learning was in school? And it actually is today. Nothing has changed, right?
No, it hasn't changed a bit. Maybe now because of the pandemic, everything is online, but I think it's even worse because nobody was prepared for it. But just in general, I was so lucky that I had amazing teachers. Like, I have no idea how it happened. I was just surrounded by the best teachers up to a point, because when I entered university, I had the worst French teacher. But I had, for the majority of the time, I had amazing teachers. And as I said, I was curious and I was adventurous and I just wanted to speak. But I was one of a kind, and I was also talented, so I have a very different perspective. But I taught many people, and I know that the schooling system can really, like, how should I put it? It can demonize learning languages, because first of all, you have this classroom environment where you can't help but compare your skills against other people's skills. And if you're just learning something and you're just discovering whether you like something or not, let's say you're learning Russian, because that was my case in middle school. So I was learning Russian for a semester, and I thought that it would be easy because my mother knew Russian and my father knew Russian, and I thought I would be good in Russian. But I couldn't feel that I was so good at it. Like, I didn't grasp it very quickly. It took me a bit of it. Like, it was a challenge for me. But because I kept getting like slightly like good grades, I was okay with that. But the children that were getting like worse grades than me, they started hating Russian and the Russian teacher, who was okay at the time. And I think that when you have this classroom environment and you look at other children, or maybe students when you are at university, and you look at each other's skills and you think and you say to yourself, oh my god, I'm so much worse than them, that's the first issue, because the teachers don't really encourage progress, or they don't create, I think for the most part, they don't create a healthy learning environment so that they say, hey, it doesn't matter who speaks better or who speaks worse, we are all here to learn. Instead, they have tests and they have programs that they have to follow, the curriculum. And it's all based on the teacher has to make progress with the program. And so the learners are there just to catch up with everyone. And if they feel or they see that they are behind everyone else, they will not start liking the language. They will feel like they are horrible at learning languages. They will feel like they are not making progress fast enough. And this is like, I think I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg here, but I think that this is one of the biggest problems, the environment in which we learn, and the fact that we start learning at school, which is basically a competitive environment, and then the teacher sometimes doesn't know how to encourage the positive learning environment. And then there are the methods and the tests, and I could go on forever on this.
For sure. This is a funny thing. I've been in communication with a lot of education ministries in several countries, and what they tell me regarding why teachers are pacing learners through some curriculum, we have to be in pace of finalizing this book, this learning manual, for example, then it actually isn't true. Just teachers believe that it's true, but the only thing that is written in national, international and national curriculums is that you need to be on a certain level. I imagine, when I'm looking at such an environment like the school environment, then I can only imagine how a scientist, a climate scientist, for example, is watching what's happening in the world at the moment, right? So it's like it just drives you mad in a way, but this whole mammoth is so big that you don't know where to begin, because it just takes time, which all innovation does, to change it. Because there are so many things, right? For example, what we see with Speakly when researching literally thousands of people is that many people who are on upper intermediate levels, they have the speaking block, right? It's a very usual.
Yes.
It's a very usual thing. So now with research, where does it come from? It's literally so visible that it really directly comes from the fact that we are graded in school. So
yes, I agree.
So basically, you have to make a choice. Do I make a mistake, which would be a normal thing as a human being in everything, or I won't make the mistake and I won't say anything, which is how we are programmed, which is the craziest thing ever, right? Because like what I usually talk about as an example is people just remembering how did I speak, how did I learn my mother tongue? Was my mother at my bedside every evening being like, this conjugation, well, this goes like that? Or was it more so of a, as you were saying, a healthy environment filled with imitation and language input, right? Just creating the environment that needs these skills. And there are so many things we can go on about, but there is, there are some cool things happening. But in general, in the education systems, the things that are used are literally 100 and 200 years old, right?
Yes, they are. I think that the newest additions to language lessons are like interactive boards or something, but still the methodology is the same.
Exactly. So using a device that is interactive, but the underlying thing is the same, which is funny. Like, we have done research, for example, in such a thing that looking at a random, just a learning manual, let's say Spanish A1 language learning book. So what we see is that there is a consistent rule happening that throughout these learning manuals, there are actually words and sentences that are not needed in this specific level because they are put together as a topic, right? So even on this granular level, these things are not thought out, and it kind of enraged me in a way that how can this be in such a way that we are just spending people's time?